Welcome everyone to this module on the mechanics of writing. This is lecture 1 of the series. In this series, we'll be looking at the different aspects of punctuation, their importance in writing effectively. Lecture 1 consists of some rules and basic understanding about capitalization, full stops, exclamation marks, and question marks. Let's start by doing an activity. Read the following message from Nisha to her father and see what you can understand. Dad, I need a new scale and protractor. Please bring either a camel or classmate one. Don't forget to bring. Nisha. Now, we do observe that there are no punctuation marks as uh, Nisha writes this message to her father, and even if there are, some of them are misplaced. Now, without punctuation marks or without capitalization, a written work may seem like a jumbled mass of words without any divisions to mark pauses or breaks in it. Now, in this case, her father would be amused to find that she had written to bring either a camel or classmate one. So, since she has not capitalized it to name it as a brand of a scale or protractor, anybody could understand that she's talking about a real camel or a real classmate. So the proper way of writing that message could have been something like this. So I need a new scale and a protractor, and please bring either a camel with capital C or classmate with capital C to indicate that this is the name of a particular brand of scales or protractors. And of course, don't forget to bring is actually an exclamation mark rather than the question. Right, so punctuation is very essential in English, and when we do not use punctuation marks, we create a lot of confusion about what we want to communicate to the reader. So let's go in and try to understand some important rules of punctuation. In this video, we'll be looking at capitalization or capital letters, and of course the beginning, that is capitalization, and the ending punctuation, that is full stops, question marks, and exclamation marks. So this will be the outline in this video. So we are going to look at how to make a good beginning of a sentence and also how to make a good ending of a sentence. Let's start with capital letters. Now, capitalization is a very important feature when we are writing in English. We actually capitalize the first word of every sentence. If the first word is a number, then we generally write it as a word. So this is my favorite dish. This sentence starts with this, so we do capitalize the first word, that is this, with a capital T. And even if it starts with a number like 4 people showed up to volunteer, so the first word we do not write as a digit, but rather we write it as a word 4, and we capitalize F. And we do capitalize the pronoun I or any contraction made using I. So it can be I am or I would or I have or I'll. Even if it's written as a contraction, we do capitalize the I pronoun. The professor told me that I needed to take a prerequisite before taking his class. She thought that I'd decide to move to Mumbai. I know I'll be ready for the exam. If you observe, we have capitalized I either when it is used singly or when it is used in the form of a contraction, I would or I will. Now, capitalization we do for all the proper nouns, but we do not capitalize common nouns. Now, a proper noun refers to a specific person or a specific place or a specific thing or a brand or an idea, whereas a common noun refers to a general class of people, places, or things. To understand this a little bit more, let's look at these examples. Now, Tom can be an uncle. So the name Tom has to be capitalized because it is a proper noun. Whereas the common noun uncle, which is about a group of an idea of relationship, we do not capitalize U of uncle. Similarly, Telangana state. Now Telangana is a proper noun, so we capitalize T, but we do not capitalize the common noun state S. King Koti is the name of a hospital. So King Koti, the case will be capitalized because they are proper nouns, they are names of a hospital, whereas the common noun hospital is not capitalized. Labrador Retriever is a dog breed name. So we do capitalize Labrador because it's proper noun, but not dog as it is common noun. Similarly, Dell is a company which sells or manufactures computers. So we do capitalize D of Dell when we write Dell computers, but not computer because computer is a common noun. So always remember this, that we capitalize proper nouns but do not the common nouns. Now let's go into some more details of how to use capitalization. Now we capitalize the first word of a quotation. When something is put inside quotation marks, we capitalize the first word. When will you be finished? So because the first word inside the quotation marks is when, we capitalize W. My new neighbor said, "Good morning," as I approached the door. Now, once again, good morning is inside quotation marks, so that part of the reported speech is actually written as capitalized for the first word of the sentence. Good morning, I answered, somewhat surprised. You must be Sylvia. It's a similar case where the first word inside the quotation marks is capitalized. But we do not capitalize the first word of a partial quotation. He called her the best problem solver alive. The new edition, Arun explained, will be available in 2 months. Now, when you observe here, the quotation is actually divided into two parts. So there are two partial parts of the quotation, and the beginning of the quotation, like in the second sentence, the new edition, the is capitalized, but the next partial part will be available in 2 months is not capitalized because it's already been capitalized at the beginning of the quotation. Proper adjectives are also uh, need to be capitalized. Now we need to understand this. An adjective is a word that describes or tells us more about a person, place, or thing. Similarly, a proper adjective is derived from a proper noun. That means a name. So many proper adjectives refer to a nationality or a custom. For example, English muffin. Now English is actually an adjective here, but it also a proper noun. So a group of people are called as English people. So when we are writing proper adjectives, so such adjectives which are derived from proper nouns are called as proper adjectives. Now proper adjectives should be capitalized. So English muffin, so we capitalize the adjective English E. Polish sausage, we capitalized Polish P. French customs, we capitalized the F, French. But if you observe carefully, we do not capitalize the common noun like muffin, sausage, or customs. Now, proper nouns, all proper nouns, that means the names of specific persons, places, or things, they have to be capitalized in writing. Okay, let's look at this thing in detail. Now, there could be many categories of proper nouns. So each category of proper nouns has to be capitalized when we are writing them. For example, days of the week. So when we say Sunday or Tuesday, we need to capitalize the first letter because Sunday and Tuesday or Monday, they are names of the days of the week. So they are proper nouns. So we have to capitalize them. Similarly, months of the year, March, June, etc. Or holidays like Independence Day or Christmas or some other day. So whenever we get the name of a holiday, we do capitalize the first letter. We also capitalize the historical events or periods or some sort of a documents, the names, because these are all names. For example, the Middle Ages, the ancient times, or periods of time, or even documents like Indian Constitution. We also capitalize the names of special events or calendar events like springtime, summer, or like Mother's Day, etc. We also capitalize the names of people and places. New Delhi, Mumbai. So the first letter would always be capitalized, or names of people like Ravi Kumar, etc. We also capitalize the names of structures and buildings like Taj Mahal or India Gate. So whenever you come across writing them, so we need to capitalize the names. Some more examples. We also capitalize the names of trains or ships or aircrafts or even other modes of transportation, like the names of trains like Shatabdi Express or Air India or Indian Airlines. So then these are, because these are names, we capitalize the first letter. Names of officials like even the district collector or Prime Minister Modi, now we have to capitalize them. Or even works of art and literature like Mona Lisa, etc. Or ethnic groups or races or languages like Asian, African, Indian, or French, we capitalize them. Or nationalities, English, Indian, Pakistani, etc. Cities or states or governmental units need to be capitalized, like Hyderabad or Telangana or Ministry of Defense or Ministry of Education, so on. We also capitalize the names of streets or highways or roads like National Highway or Grand Trunk Road. We also capitalize the landmarks or important geographical locations like Himalayas or the Eastern Ghats. Even public areas and bodies of water need to be capitalized like Ring Road, or Gandhi Chowk, or Gir Forest, or Lake Koleru. So we do capitalize the names of such public areas or bodies of water, and even the names of institutions or organizations or businesses like Rotary Club or Reliance Industries. So whenever we write proper nouns, the first letter of that noun is capitalized. So many times we forget to capitalize the names of all such things which we need to take care of. Now, a quick reminder when not to capitalize. So we have understood that we capitalize all the proper names. We capitalize whenever we see the pronoun I along with all its contractions. We capitalize the first word inside the quotation marks. We also capitalize the proper names of uh, many types of nouns. Now, when should we not capitalize? We need to avoid capitalizing compass directions, for example, north, east, south, west. So we need not capitalize them when we are talking about them as directions. But however, when these direction words refer to a specific area of a country, then they should be capitalized. For example, we headed east to avoid the storm. Now here east is just a direction, so we need not capitalize it. But when we talk about the computer industry flourished in the west, now we are talking about the area on the globe which comprises of the western part of the world. So here west is referring to a specific area of a country or countries. So you have to capitalize when it is referring to a specific area. We also need to avoid capitalizing words that refer to family members. Uh, we need to capitalize them only if they are used as names. So if they are not used as names, we need not capitalize them. For example, although Aunt Matilda has arrived, my other aunts are late. Now in the first case, what we find is we have capitalized Aunt Matilda but not other aunts, because here other aunts refers to family members, so that becomes a common noun. So, but Aunt Matilda is like the name of aunt of an aunt. So we capitalize the proper noun. Similarly, after my mother lectured me, father grounded me. Now, in the first case, mother is used to refer to family member, whereas father, even though the name is not recorded here, but father refers to a specific person who actually hit him. Okay. Avoid unnecessarily capitalizing the seasons of the year or parts of the academic year. So maybe we should not unnecessarily capitalize the seasons of the year like summer, winter, etc., or parts of the academic year. The university offers basic computing 405 course in the spring semester. So we need not capitalize the season spring or the word semester part of the academic year, but we did capitalize the name of the course, basic computing. We should also not capitalize school subjects. They should only be capitalized if they are part of the name of a specific course. For example, Nirupama is taking biology 2 next semester. Now if Nirupama was studying biology, uh, then biology B may not be capitalized, but since here biology 2 is the name of a specific course that Nirupama is taking, hence it is capitalized. So if you say I'm studying mathematics, M should not be capitalized, but I'm going to take mathematics, industrial mathematics as my course in the next semester, then M need to be capitalized because it's a name of a specific course. Now we also need to avoid unnecessary capitalizing words modified by the proper adjectives. So proper adjectives are those adjectives which are derived from a proper noun. So they are generally like nouns changed into adjectives. Now when we write an Italian restaurant, already the I of Italian is capitalized. There is no need to capitalize a restaurant again. So we don't need to capitalize the next word. Similarly, Polish sausage, P should be capitalized but not sausage or S. So this was what we learned about how to make a good beginning in the sentence. So this was like the initial punctuation. So that is capitalization. Now let's go to the other part of the spectrum, that is the end of a sentence. And unlike the beginning punctuation or the initial punctuation, which is only capitalization, we have different types of punctuation that come at the end of a sentence. And one of it is full stop, the other is question mark, and one more is the exclamation mark. So we need to understand when to use each of them. So let's start with the question marks. When to use question marks? Now, we use a question mark after a word or a group of words that asks a question. So question mark is intended to ask a question. Why? It can be just one word like why or really, but then it can also be a group of words like where did you get your hair cut? What time does he get home? So a word or a group of words that asks a question needs to be ended by a question mark punctuation. Sentences that begin with these words are usually questions. Words like who, where, what, why, when, and how, they generally form questions. Now, when to use full stops? So the next type of end punctuation is a full stop, or it is also called as a period. We use a period or a full stop at the end of a sentence that makes a statement. It can be a positive statement or a negative statement. Many jobs require a working knowledge of computers. It's a statement, so we use a full stop at the end of that statement. Thomas Jefferson is the most famous American slave owner. So we end it as a statement, so we use full stop at the end of it. The tour bus leaves right after breakfast in the morning. Again, it's a statement and we end it with a full stop. We also use a period or a full stop at the end of a sentence that makes a request or gives an instruction or states a command. So not only a statement, but requests or instructions or commands also end with a full stop. Take this to the mailbox before you leave. It's a request. Open the car, remove item B and close the box. It's a sort of an instruction. Check the message board before you go home. That's command. And each of these is ended with a full stop. We also use a period or a full stop at the end of a sentence that asks an indirect question. So if it's a direct question, we end it with question mark, but if it's an indirect question, we use the full stop rather than the question mark. My boss asked if I had seen her coat. Now this is an indirect question, so we generally end it with a full stop. Whereas have you seen my coat, which is a direct question, this is ended with a question mark. Now there are other uses of full stops. We use a period or a full stop before a decimal, and that's why it's also called as a decimal point. For example, a gallon equals 3.875 liters. Now 3.8 actually it's a full stop, or we can also call it as a decimal point. Only 5.6% of our employees choose vision care. So like 5.6, again it's a decimal point. We also use a full stop between dollars and cents or rupees and paises. The new paneling costs $45.95, or do you have $4.50 that I can borrow? So it can be used to talk about dollars, cents, or money for that matter, rupees, etc. We also use a full stop after an initial in a person's name or a personal name. For example, the patient in room number 202 is Ron P. Martel. So here after the initial P we use a full stop or a point. Similarly, this book was written by J.R.R. Tolkien. So J.R.R. are the initials of a person and we use full stops. We also use a full stop after an abbreviation, like Smith Brothers is hiring subcontractors for this job. So after BROS, it's like an abbreviation. The plane leaves at 3:17 on Jan 1. So again, a 3:17 is about an abbreviation of time, and Jan 1 is an abbreviation of a date. So we use periods or full stop. Now, when should we not use full stops? If an abbreviation comes at the end of a sentence, only one period or full stop is needed. The box is 3 inches by 5 inches. So, because IN is the short form or an abbreviation of inches, we use a full stop after it. And 5 inches again is an abbreviation of uh, IN is abbreviation of inches. So we do not use two periods or two full stops to mark at the end, but just one is needed at the end. If an abbreviation has become a commonly used name for something, then we do not use any full stop. For example, gym, GYM, is like an abbreviation of a common abbreviation of gymnasium, or exam, a common abbreviation of examination, or auto, common abbreviation of automobile. So we now do not use any full stop after gym, exam, or auto to mention that it's an abbreviation, because it is now commonly accepted form of that word. If an abbreviation has become an acronym or a name widely recognized, even then we do not use full stops to distinguish each letter. For example, WHO or NATO or NASA or TV, we now know them. It has become an acronym, so we don't use full stops to actually distinguish it. Or for example, MRI or IRS. So these are now accepted acronyms, so which are widely recognized. So we do not use full stops to actually distinguish each of the letters of the acronym or abbreviation. Now let's come to the third criteria or category of end punctuation, that is exclamation marks. Now, when to use an exclamation mark? We use an exclamation point or mark after an outcry or sentence that expresses strong feeling, where emotions are showed, like, oh no, be careful, that's unbelievable, you're kidding. So each of these phrases expresses some strong feeling, and hence to end it we use an exclamation point. We also use an exclamation mark after an exclamation that begins with a question word, like who, what, when, where, why, and how, but doesn't ask a question. So if it asks a question, we end it with a question mark. But if these WH words are used to um, state something as an exclamation, then we are going to end it by an exclamation mark. For example, how forgetful I am. So though it begins with a question word how, it's not a question. What a lot of trouble for such a small result. Now it does start with WH word what, but it is not a question. So we use an exclamation mark at the end of it. Of course, there is a warning that exclamation points are like salt on food. So if you overdo them, the meaning can become quite ununderstandable. So it could be misunderstanding, misleading. So we be careful not to overdo exclamations. Okay, now let's do an activity. Now we have learnt about capitalization. We have learnt when to use full stops. We have also learnt when to use question marks and also exclamation marks. Now let's look at these sentences and try to punctuate them uh, with good beginnings and good endings. Let's check them one by one. In the first case, we find that hurry is a proper noun and it has not been capitalized. So we have to capitalize hurry. Again, Jeep is a brand of vehicles made by Mahindra. So both Jeep and Mahindra need to be capitalized. And he works at Mahindra Manufacturing. Again, is the name of a factory or a company. and they have to be capitalized because it's there. Wherever we get proper nouns or names, we have to capitalize them. In the second case, the first word is when, so it has to be capitalized. Then we have the name of a governmental position, president. Okay, we have to capitalize it. Then the name of a person, we have to capitalize Trump. Then the name of a flight, Air Force One is the name of an airplane, so we have to capitalize that. And of course the name of a city, Washington and DC, we have to capitalize them. Of course we end it with a question mark because it's a question. In the third case, next year, the first word has to be capitalized, and I pronoun has to be capitalized. And because industrial math applications is the name of a particular course, we are capitalizing it. It has to end again with a full stop. Now, did you know that my uncle Naren sold his car to Aunt Aruna? Now, because it's a question starting with did, so we capitalize did, then the name of Uncle Naren, N is capitalized. And of course, Aunt need not be capitalized, but Aruna, A has to be capitalized. Now, what we know here is like it is a question and we have to end it with a question mark. How nice of Mr. Bose to accommodate our wishes to move to 345 Lola Apartments. Now, though it starts with how, it's not a question, rather it's an exclamation. So we end it with exclamation mark, and we capitalize Mr. M and Bose B because they are names. And we also capitalize Lodha Apartments, Lodha because it's a name of an apartment, and not apartments because Lodha is a proper adjective, so we need not capitalize apartments. Right. So let's do another exercise. Let's use full stops, like exclamation marks, like capital letters in the correct way, which is needed. Help, I can't breathe. Now what's wrong with this? Though it seems to be like an exclamation, so help is an exclamation, but I can't breathe, it's not a question. Rather, it's again an exclamation at the end. I got my income tax forms in the mail today. Now, it seems to be a statement, so we don't need an exclamation mark, rather we need to end it with a full stop. Will you check this order for me? Now, it seems to be a small question, so because it's a question, we need to end it with a question mark and not a full stop. Those plumbers, do you know what they did? Now, it seems like those plumbers is an exclamation, and do you know what they did is like a question. So it has been misplaced. It could be like those plumbers and do you know what they did? I'm amazed at how quickly she moved. So I don't think it's a question anymore. So because it's an exclamation at how quickly she moved, we can use an exclamation mark. Right. So in this video, we have been looking into how to make good beginnings of a sentence and also end them with good endings. So we were looking at the mechanics of writing, and in this series on punctuation, we looked at capitalization as well as the end punctuation, full stops, question marks, and exclamation marks. For any queries, you can approach us in the contact numbers or the mail IDs or the blogspot address given. Thank you. Have a good day.